welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in a YouTube hop called Simple Stories Saturdays, where we use Simple Stories products, and it's put on by Joanne Bartel. The picture I chose to do today is one I found of my dad and grandma at the beach, and it's from the 1990s of when he brought her to my home when I lived in Florida to visit. And it must have been a day when I was working at Disney World and they went to the beach for the day. So of course I have to scrapbook that since neither of them are living anymore. And I decided to use the Summer Snapshots collection because of course it looks like Florida. Although I'm leaving all the summer elements off because this was probably at Christmas time because that's usually when they came down. I actually already finished my albums from when I lived in Florida. I made one for Christmas and I'm still adding to that, but I didn't have any space of that time where I could put just one page in. And also it didn't really go with those photos. And I already did my everyday pictures from Florida, so I didn't have a place to put it. So I'm putting it with my 1990 photos of my trips to Disney World before I lived there. And just putting some Disney World photos that I forgot to put in the other album. Since I didn't have much of this collection, I went and looked for some scrapbook sketches, and that's something I like to do when I really don't know what to do with a layout. And that gives me ideas and inspiration of what I can do. So I looked back at some sketches from Christie's Beautiful Life, 30 Days of Sketches. She had one of those. It was a series 18, I believe, and it was in June. And I didn't have time to do most of those because I'm a teacher and the end of the year, of course, was really crazy. And I had a ton of students that had birthdays in the spring and in the summer. So I made all my summer kids' birthday cards before the end of school. So I didn't have time to prepare for this, as well as I had another sketchathon I tried to do in June. So I just got as many as I could. So I went back and found the sketch from Diana Vanderleest, and I believe this was day 4 on this sketch. Well, it wasn't sketchathon, the 30 Days of Sketches. And I thought this would be great because if you look at the sketch, and I put that on here, that it looks like there's some eyelets with some ribbon maybe, and it kind of looks like sun. So I thought that would go really good with this picture because it is the beach, but I didn't want to put summer on here because it was probably not summer. It was probably in December. So first of all, I'm using my quilting ruler to help me draw some dots where my lines are going to end. I don't really have to do the lines because the ribbons will form a line. But I keep changing it because I keep changing my mind about how far to space them down the page and how far to space them apart. So then I use my good eraser to erase the ones I'm not going to use. And then I don't worry about the others because the ribbon will be covering them up. I cut out 2 strips of paper with the scraps of paper that I had left of this collection. And then I matted my photo with some light peach cardstock. And then I also had a sheet of tags from this collection. So I did one that had seagulls on it because of course I always think of seagulls when I think of Florida because they were always attacking people at Epcot anyway, trying to steal their hot dogs. I'm sure other places, but I worked at Epcot, so that's where I saw it. I wanted to lay out the elements first so I could see where the ribbon would, of course, I know where it's going to start on the top, but where it's going to go to, so it'll be under the photo. And I am using a horizontal photo instead of a vertical one, but of course, you can always alter the pages to match whatever it is you have. And instead of all those little elements, I'm just using the tag for that. I found some bright yellow and some light peach ribbon that I could use on my layout, kind of just like it does in the sketch, as well as it looks like it has eyelets. But I have one of those crocodiles, but it only reaches in for an inch. You need the, I don't know what it's called, the big something chomper. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, it can reach in further, but I don't have that. So I decided I would just cut off my ribbon to go to the top, and then I'm going to use some enamel dots on top instead. And then that way I'm using some more elements that are in my collection. And I'm deciding to alternate the peach and the yellow because I thought that would be a good way to represent the sun. Once I get everything how I wanted, I go ahead and use my Nuvo Deluxe Glue to glue down everything. And I haven't really used ribbon very much on layouts, so I wasn't quite sure how it would work. I knew Nuvo Deluxe would be strong enough, and also it's supposed to dry clear. So I was hoping that, the wetness wouldn't show through the ribbon, which it doesn't. Then I used my glue to glue down the 2 strips of paper. I'll put a list of all the products that I'm using in the description below. Some of these will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that the links generate, and that helps support my channel. Now, of course, a lot of these products are older, so they may no longer be available. Then I start arranging all the other elements that I want to include just to see for sure where I want them to be, and that includes another tag because I thought it looked a little bare. I don't really have embellishments, but I do have tags because I had a sheet of 12 by 12 that had tag cut aparts. And this one looks very Florida-ish, I think, with the palm trees and the sun. And it says on vacation, which they are on vacation. And then also I got a sticker for my sticker sheet that I want to add as a title. So at this point I need to get my tags ready before I start gluing everything down. So I use my Crocodile, and this eyelet case has several different eyelets to choose from. I think it's from the We Are Memory Makers because that's who makes the Crocodile. In any case, I really love this case. So as I empty it, I could buy some more eyelets and put in there, or you can use it for any other small embellishments. I always forget how to use this Crocodile by the time I use it again because I don't really like making tags and tag holes. So in the top, you can use it as a hole punch. So I do that. And of course, I'm studying it for a while as to figure out what to do with it. I'm not sure if I always keep it quite on camera because I have to get it closer to me to make sure I'm doing it right. So anyway, I decided to use some white eyelets. And of course, when you do your eyelets, you want to make sure that you have that top part on the part that you want to see. Otherwise, it messes everything up. Then I add a ribbon to the tops of my tags, and I decided just to do, I think it's called a slip knot. You double your ribbon and stick it through, and then you end up with a loop, and then you stick the loose ends through that loop. And I always call it the stroller knot because when I worked at Disney World, I was always attaching tags to strollers, and that's how we did it. I always joked that the last attraction of the day, and hopefully this isn't true anymore, but the last attraction of the day apparently was roll over the stroller hostess with your stroller so you can get your dollar back. I don't know if they give dollars back or what. Maybe it's $10 you get back now. Who knows what the deposit is. Anyway, my feet were always hurting by the end of the day because I guess people decided they had to get their stroller that close to you to get their dollar back. Like, no, anywhere in the vicinity is quite fine and preferably not on my foot. So in any case, I didn't do that job long. And in fact, I wasn't really employed by the stroller shop. I just worked in the gift shop next to them. So I would think I was on permanent loan to them until I switched to attractions. And then, of course, I never worked there ever again. So please, if you ever rent a wheelchair or stroller, please do not run over the stroller host or hostess at the end of the day. So you'll notice from this sketch that I have varied from it. Don't ever feel like you have to do exactly the same thing as a sketch shows. It's just for inspiration and ideas. And you do it according to what you have and what you think looks good on your layout. If you watch the 30 Days of Sketches, you'll get some ideas of people all using the same sketch, but coming up with totally different layouts. And that's what I think I like about these type of challenges, to see what everyone comes up with. Now that I have everything where I wanted, I use my Nuvo Deluxe Glue to glue down the tags, and I use mounting squares to attach my photo. Then I use this sticker bunting that says "So Sunny," as my title, and I move it so that it looks like it's attached to the photo and going to the end of the tag, so it kind of has a place to ground it. I decided to add another palm tree over by the tag on the left just because I think it needed some more, because as you can tell in the sketch there's a star and some other tags, so I thought it needed a little bit more there to balance it out. And then I also decided to use a sticker with some seagulls, kind of like they have the stars, although I put mine a little further over because since I have a horizontal photo, my photo and the sunburst doesn't line up the same as it does on the sketch. So I just kind of decide where I think it looks the best. As a final embellishment, I use the enamel dots from this collection to put at the top of all the ribbon, just like the eyelets are, and I alternate them between yellow and kind of a peachy orange color. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of two different things. The 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life is over, but I'll put the information down below if you want to go to the Facebook page and find the sketches, and also the link to the playlist so you can catch other people's inspiration. Also, I just started making a playlist for Simple Story Saturday so that it's easier to find all the videos as well as past videos. So I'll also have a link of that at the end of this video as well as in the description. We also have a list of all the people who participate in the Simple Stories Saturdays in the description below. It'll be of their channels, not necessarily each video, and some people do not post every week, so it will probably be easier to check the playlist, but I don't know if everyone will have their video in that playlist because I just posted it on Facebook about a week before the hop. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and if you're not already a subscriber, I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.